This is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by unbeaten Australian heavyweight Dempsey McKean. Dempsey, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, just loving it. It's good to be back into camp and back in training and yeah, back into routine.
Yeah, from what you were just telling me off camera, you just finished a strength session. Haven't got a fight date yet, but still in there kind of working away. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. So, you got to stay ready, stay fit, and stay in the gym as much as possible because, when you're kind of on the fringe of these big fights, big opportunities can follow pretty quick. So, and if you're not fit, then, it's going to be a bit worrying if you're going to be taking those fights. So you want to have that confidence that you are fit, you are ready. So, yeah, try and stay in the gym as much as possible.
And you've had two full camps now with Tony Sims. I think the first time we spoke for Seconds Out, you hadn't actually worked with Tony yet. You'd agreed to train with him, but you hadn't actually got in the gym yet. Two full camps down the road. How have things changed? How do you feel you've improved?
Feeling good. I've improved a lot, and I think it showed a little bit in the last fight. The last fight was a little bit scrappy on my opponent's behalf, so it is kind of hard to look good in that sense. But I've improved a lot, and we're starting to really gel a lot as well. Like I'm really rotating a lot of shots while still keeping my mobility and explosiveness. So yeah, it's good. It's going to see what's it's going to be interesting after another camp and another one after that, and yeah. So I just wish I made the move a lot sooner. That's for sure.
Now, I saw your interview with ID Boxing earlier, and you were talking there about how close you'd come to a fight with Dillon White potentially. He obviously ended up going with Jermaine Franklin instead. And from what I saw on the video, it was because he joined Buddy McGirt, and they then weren't so keen as a new team on facing a southpaw, especially one with your capabilities, which I can completely understand. What did you make of that decision? And when you saw the performance he put in against Jermaine Franklin, were you pretty disappointed not to be in there?
Definitely. Yeah, like I've said before, we come to about 75% done for that contract. We got into contractual agreement even, once I did beat Dillon, the potential fights after, teeing up a fight with Anthony Joshua. And, we come quite close. And then he signed with Buddy McGirt, and then he just put the brakes onto it straight away and said he wasn't too fond on fighting a southpaw. And I've said before, it's disappointing because I've been on the fringe of these big fights many times with Tyson Fury years ago, as well as a potential fight. And Dillon White and some other big fights too. And the only thing that's ever stopped it is because I'm a southpaw. And it's sad. It's like, mate, these guys are supposed to be elite boxers and some of the elite of the elite, and they turn around and they don't want to fight someone to do the stance. So it's hard to call these guys champions that will fight anyone when they don't want to fight a lefty. These guys had big amateur careers. They should have been fighting southpaws and sparring southpaws and should have been doing it over the years. That way, when they do have to fight, when it's not such a big shock. But it's the one thing that stops me. I've been sitting on the sideline waiting for this big fight for a long time, and that's the only thing that pretty much stops me from landing a big fight is because I'm a southpaw, which is surprising because we've got a southpaw champion at the moment in Usyk. So why wouldn't you want to fight a southpaw on the way to possibly challenging Usyk? If you're that confident. So. But yeah, it's a shame. I can kind of understand it from their behalf. New trainer, he's never fought a southpaw before. I've been in camp with Dillon White, so they know it's going to be, no easy walk in the park. And yeah, if he fought me the night when he fought Jermaine Franklin, mate, I would have boxed his ears off. That's for sure. So yeah, I didn't think it was the best performance on Dillon's behalf, and yeah, I definitely would have worked him over that night for sure.
Did you feel he did enough to win the fight in the end?
Look, it's one of those things like I think Jermaine Franklin probably threw more. Dillon probably did catch a lot more shots. He's definitely close. And I think when you get someone that's not people aren't picking to win the fight and it's quite a close fight and there's some close rounds, people automatically go to the underdog, but I thought he done well at the time. I was kind of thinking Jermaine Franklin, but maybe looking back on it, I think Dillon White probably did block a lot of those shots and whatnot, and he kind of finished strong as well. But mate, it was a good performance by Jermaine Franklin for being a smaller heavyweight too. It almost looked like when Fury fought Dillon White, when Dillon fought Franklin, it's a big size difference. So yeah, but it's good for Franklin, but it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and the judges made their decision.
As you pointed out there, if you'd got the Dillon White fight and come out victorious, there was already talks about you then fighting Anthony Joshua, as there now is about Dillon fighting Joshua in the summer. Joshua's coming back in April. Your name's been mentioned as a potential opponent for that fight. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, obviously I'm one of the front runners for that. And obviously some, potential stuff has been leaked to IFL and a few other boxing outlets about me being a potential opponent. So, that's a fight that I'll take any place, anytime, anywhere, without a doubt. So, hopefully we can get this fight over the line. I think the only thing that's possibly stopping me from getting that fight is once again, like I said, me being a southpaw. He hasn't had the best luck with southpaws against Usyk, but, he's been sparring and fighting southpaws for 2 years now. So who knows? It'll be interesting, but hopefully, like I've said before, like it's a shame that people pick and choose who they want to fight just over the stance. Like I said, we've been mentioned for a fight. Hopefully, Eddie can kind of push him in that direction to have a fight, but we'll have to wait and see. And fingers crossed I get this fight, and I'll be more than ready for it.
What's the last indication you've had from Eddie, either to yourself or to your manager Angelo Di Carlo, about what where Joshua's at, or when you'll find out, or anything like that?
Just a waiting game at the moment, I suppose. I think AJ headed over to America with his new coach. I think maybe today, or he's on his way over at the moment. I'm not too sure. So probably have to wait for him to kind of talk with his coach, and then they kind of go from there. And it'll be interesting. So hopefully he can man up and fight another southpaw, and hopefully try and prove the naysayers wrong. You've been hard done by a couple of southpaws. Surely you'd want to get one up on a southpaw. So have to wait and see.
And from your knowledge, or from talking with Eddie, or from what you've seen in the media, who are the other kind of possibilities for that April date, apart from yourself?
I haven't heard anything, to be honest. So I think myself has been the only one that's kind of made headlines at the moment as being a potential opponent. So, honestly, I haven't really heard about anyone else or potential fights whatsoever. I'm not too sure what's circulating out there, but I don't think there's anything. I think I'm the only one that's kind of surfaced as of late.
And as far as you're aware, I know there's been talk about a big fight in a stadium back in Australia in the future. But for this one, with it being not too far away and the commercial implications, this would be in the UK, right?
I'd say so. I'd definitely say it would have to be in the UK. Being this far out, pretty close to the fight date, I think it'd be quite hard to make in Australia. But if there's ever a rematch, I'm sure I'd love to do it in Australia. That's for sure. So.
And you were in AJ's camp, sparring him for both Usyk fights. Did you leave enough of an impression that he might be wary of fighting you? Could it actually work to your detriment, how well you did in those sessions?
Yeah, like I said, like a lot of people have been ruling me out, and that's fair. Like the kind of casual fans and whatnot, and he's the favourite, so I'm going to be the underdog, and he's going to be the A side, of course. I know that. Like, look at the competition he's fought as a unified champ, and people are going to count me out regardless. But deep down, they know that's a hard fight from the rounds. I'm a tricky southpaw. I can move well like Usyk. Obviously, I'm not as light as Usyk, but I pack a lot more of a punch. I've got a pretty good left hook once that does land, and it's slept a lot of people as well. So I definitely hit a lot harder than Usyk, and I was pinging him with that left hand, and I feel like it would definitely land on fight night sooner or later.
And you're in a good place to say this because you're in both camps. What changes did you notice in Joshua between those two? Because he's going to have another new trainer anyway, but there was different training teams between those two Usyk fights.
He did. He made some lot better improvements. Second time around, it was my first spar back with him as well. So obviously my spar fitness wasn't the best, but I could definitely see his improvements. He was pressuring a lot more head movement, and starting to put, obviously training to put Usyk on the back foot as well. Walking them sparring partners down. But like I said, with a bigger opponent, you can't really afford to be doing that. It's a heavyweight division, when you've got skilled guys that can whack pretty hard, you don't want to be walking them down too much, So obviously he's going to change his game plan and style again. It's a whole new other coach. I know he's got a good coach that he's just signed with. So, they're going to have, every coach is different. So they're going to have their own little tweaks and techniques and whatnot as well. So I'm sure he's going to come in more polished once again, as he did the last fight. So he definitely did. He did look a lot better in the second fight against Usyk, but you'd expect that at that level, you'd expect him to do better, not worse.
I think it's pretty obvious, but it'd be great to hear it in your own words. What could a win over Anthony Joshua do for you and for your career?
Massive, mate. Like I know it. We all know it. AJ's still probably the #1 name in the heavyweight division. You know, it's obviously a big money fight, but like a win over AJ is a potential. You're one win away from a world title fight. You know, you take out AJ, you're pretty much next in line for a world title fight, or you know, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of make that world title fight. So, and obviously, your name gets put up there straight away. Your exposure you get from it. It's massive. It does wonders. Not only does it set you and your family up, but it sets up massive fights in the future and possible world title fights. Like I said, one fight away from a world title fight. That's huge.
Yeah, I agree. And Tony Sims is obviously your trainer. He was AJ's first trainer as a pro. What kind of advantage, if any, do you think that gives you going into this fight?
It's a pretty big advantage if you ask me. So that's for sure. He trained him for about 4 years. Probably knows him inside and out. What makes him tick. Big advantage as well, and probably more of an advantage knowing that AJ's looking over and seeing him behind me in the other corner as well, thinking, you know, that's my old coach. You know, maybe he's doubting himself a little bit. So yeah, it's a big advantage, that's for sure. And like Tony's a mastermind in the boxing game. Like he's a great trainer, very technical. Gets the game plans down to a T. So no doubt in my mind he'll come up with a great game plan and get some good sparring in, and will be more than ready come fight night.
Have Tony and yourself discussed the potential fight at all? Because obviously he knows AJ very well, as you say. I would imagine he'd have some views on whether it's the right option for you and how you'd go about beating him.
I think no matter where you are in your career, you get off a fight against AJ, so you're going to take it. You know, you look at the risk versus reward, mate. It's massive, like a potential wins. Heavyweight division, we all punch pretty hard. Like I said, one punch can change, and it's a lot easier to change that in heavyweight division. So there wouldn't even need to be a discussion about should we take this fight. You just take that at the drop of the hat for sure. And Tony's confident in me for sure. We know we're on the fringe of a big fight. We just want that big fight to be able to showcase our skills. So, you know, I'm improving under Tony. Tony knows what I'm capable of. You know, physically, always physically fit. Technically, I'm quite good technically, and mentally strong too. Like I said, I've been waiting for this big fight to be able to showcase my skills. So it's just a waiting game.
Now, although, as you say, you take a fight against AJ at any stage, would you have liked to have had that kind of bridging fight, if you like, from the level of opposition you've beaten very impressively to an AJ who's still, you know, 2 fights removed from being a 2-time world champion?
Yeah, definitely. Like, don't get me wrong. It would be like obviously a big advantage for me to be able to kind of take that step up and experience, and like a tougher fight and whatnot it's only going to help me grow as a person and a fighter. And obviously, you know, bigger stadium, bigger crowds and everything as well. But you just have to kind of make do with what you've got. You know, obviously I'm still waiting for that bridging fight as well. We're in talks about next fight, you know, being a big fight. So Obviously, I would have preferred that, but it is what it is, and I'm happy to take the leap straight to AJ or Dillon White or any of these other big names. This is what we're in this game for. We're in this game to be the best and to beat the best. And if you can kind of fast track that a little bit, then go right ahead.
How happy, satisfied are you now with the move to the UK? Because when we first spoke, you were very enthusiastic, as you would imagine. It's worked out pretty well so far, it seems.
It has. It's like I said, I just wish I made the move a lot sooner. You know. But things happen the way things do, and I'm here now, and that's the main thing. I'm still young for a heavyweight. I didn't have an amateur pedigree and had no amateur fights at all, so still quite green. I've only had the 22 professional boxing fights, so I'm like a sponge. I'm absorbing everything over here, and with a great trainer like Tony, I felt like a novice the first week I was there. I thought I was bloody terrible, and I was starting from scratch. But that's what you want. It's a good refreshment, and I'm sure AJ is going to probably feel the same when he goes stateside. You know, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I gave up and sacrificed a lot of things to move to the other side of the world and take a shot. You know, if this doesn't work out, I'm pretty much screwed. So at least I can say I took a shot and I've given it everything and training my ass off and, you know, sacrificed a lot. And yeah, it's all going to work out because I know what I'm capable of and I know the work that I put in.
You seem very intelligent and articulate. I mean, I wouldn't give up on the boxing just yet, but I'm sure you'll be all right, whatever happens. Yeah, I mean, you talked about working with Tony and how great that's been. What has been the biggest improvements you've seen in yourself since working with Tony? Where have you come on the most?
I think it's just about slowing down. You know, I think because I come from a bit of an MMA and Muay Thai background where I had the 4 fights in each, I like to move around a lot and throw a lot of punches and bunches, a big combination fighter. And when I come over to Tony, he's just slowing down. You know, it's a professional game. He's just sinking those shots in a little bit more, really rotating a lot more as well. Always packed a punch before that, but now we're really rotating on our shots and using our lower body. And like I said, I didn't have an amateur pedigree, so like I'm learning at the moment. I'm just taking everything in, and yeah, we're definitely hitting a lot harder. And the training is different. It's different conditioning, different sprint training. You know, look at the guys I'm training with as well. There's the lead of the elite, the likes of Joe Cordina. You know, he's about to get his world title back, and John Ryder about to fight Canelo, and got the cruiserweight Jordan Thompson that's just joined in and is top 15 and 14-0, and Conor Benn about to come back as well and clear his name and then land another big fight. So Felix Cash as well on the fringe of European title. So it's a stacked all-star cast there as well. So. And I think Tony's coaching speaks for itself. Look at the fighters he's got and the level they kind of compete at too. So I feel privileged just to be able to kind of mix it with these guys and train with them and work hard and bust my back. So
I wasn't aware Jordan Thompson had joined. I think that's a great move for him.
Definitely. He's just joined this last week. I think it was his first week. So he had a couple of days trial and he's now made the move over and kind of made it public a little bit in the last few days, which is big. So, and it's good. Now we've got another big guy at the gym, so we don't have to probably travel as much for sparring all the time. Yeah. I think he's 6'7", like myself, and he's a big cruiserweight and he's sharp. And I've been seeing the noticeable differences in training and pad work with Tony, because I think he come from a background where he didn't get a lot of training with his coach as well. So it's like now he's training every day with a coach, and you know, once again, rubbing shoulders with a lot of the elite guys at the Matchroom gym. So he's going to come leaps and bounds, that's for sure.
And outside of the gym, how have you settled into life in the UK? I know your partner's from the UK originally as well, but how have you found the lifestyle?
Oh, mate, it's a little bit different from the Gold Coast, that's for sure. You can't just wake up and look out off the balcony and see the nice ocean and the sun shining. But it is what it is. You know, I've kind of been back a couple of times in between fights, you know, so a little bit there, a little bit here. So it's not too bad. I've been able to kind of go back and refresh and catch up with friends and family and still do my ticking over training there and come back and knuckle down when I'm here. So it's all right. It's a little bit wet for my liking, a little bit dark, and I think it gets pitch black at about 4 p.m. as well. So that's a bit of a shock to the system. But, you know, the boxing's second to none here. So it's just like I've got business to partake in. And, you know, when I'm done fighting, I'll move back home and get a nice place on the beach and live that lifestyle I want to.
Great stuff. Well, mate, I really appreciate your time. I'll keep everything crossed for you. I hope you get the big fight that you're looking for. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be the first to know.
Lovely. Appreciate it, Denny. Thank you.